Hi, hello everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Giacomo Cavalli, Relationship Manager of Federated Innovation at Mind, and I will be your guide for the next 2 hours in this amazing conversation among industry leaders. Sustainable development in the city of the future is our breakout session, bringing together 3 Federated Innovation at Mind thematic areas. Greentech and circular economy, including A2A, Enel and Maire Tecnimont. Mobility and logistics, including Enel and Poste Italiane. Energy, including E.ON. In a conversation together with Intesa Sanpaolo, official sponsor of the thematic area Greentech and circular economy. During the plenary session, we heard the Federated Innovation at Mind Chairman Tommaso Boralevi illustrating the state of the art, while the Innovation Alliance ambassadors, Paola Testori-Coggi and Federico Frattini, shed light on the importance of the innovation agendas of each thematic areas. In the following 90 minutes, we are going through deeper details on topics, objectives, and upcoming innovation initiatives belonging to these 3 thematic areas. And we will do it starting from their innovation agendas, the backbone of their strategy, representing the result of joint efforts between member companies and their respective ambassadors, with the support of a Cariplo factory as ecosystem catalyst. Thematic area play an important role for the entire ecosystem, as well as cross-pollination is one of the main features of Federated Innovation at Mind model. For this reason, one of the priorities of the 11 thematic areas is to identify synergies and areas of collaboration between each other. This is another item we are going to discover during this roundtable. The top-down model is only the first way to accelerate innovation within Federated Innovation. The other involves a bottom-up approach. Talents, startup, innovative SMEs, and the broader Federated Innovation ecosystem, inspired by the agenda of the thematic areas that are visible on the digital square as of today, can propose projects and initiatives to our members. For this very reason, a Q&A session will follow, and we are eager to receive inputs, comments, and questions from the entire Italian and international innovation actors. You will find a chat to interact with us just next to the screen. Before starting, let me introduce our speakers. Patrick Oungre, Group Head of Innovation and Corporate Venture Capital at A2A. Ciao, Patrick.
Ciao.
Marco Gazzino, Head of Innovation and Sustainability, Enel. Benvenuto, Marco. Massimo Di Amato, Venture Capital Initiatives, Head of Department, NextChem, Maire Tecnimont.
Ciao a tutti.
Gennaro Celotto, Head of Engineering, Business Unit, Mail, Parcel and Distribution, Poste Italiane. Ciao Gennaro.
Hi.
Luigi Pisante, Head of City Energy Solution, Head of Business Development, E.ON. Buongiorno. And Massimiano, Director, Global Head, CircularEconomy, Intesa Sanpaolo.
Hi all.
So, welcome everybody, and let's get it started. Let me ask the first question for Patrick Oungre, A2A. Patrick, A2A is a multi-utility where sustainability plays the role of the guiding principle inspired all your actions. As we are discussing sustainable development in the city of the future, can you tell us why you joined Federated Innovation at Mind?
Yeah, thank you, Giacomo, and hi all. Thanks of all for the opportunity to share our thoughts today. Back to our question. Let me say that we strongly believe that to address the main challenges related to environment and sustainability, companies won't be able to face them without an ecosystem approach. And we think that this will require to think our companies without boundaries where we approach, especially innovation. So we have to adopt a concrete open innovation approach. And we think that this is becoming true not only for large corporate that we represent, but also for small and medium companies that represent valuable players for the ecosystem. And if we think about circular economy or energy transition, so both strategic pillars of our 2030 industrial plan, what we see is that a single company struggles to find solutions that are able to address all the challenges related to those domains. Rather, we have to work with the entire value chain, finding valuable partners to work and innovate with. Can come from the industry or outside the industry. So the reason why we have been committed on this project from the very, very early stage of it is that Federated Innovation at its core, we think that it encompasses all the components that can enable a new way of collaborating, reassuring from one side companies to maintain their competitive position, but at the same time open scenarios of competition that historically we know that are hard to build, especially when we talk about innovation, we talk about the IP protection. So actually having built a framework here at Federated Innovation where all those critical aspects have been agreed up front, we think that can dramatically accelerate the process of moving closer company to start discussion and think together about new opportunities. So actually we are very thrilled to start working with other companies. We have already identified some project stream that can leverage both the collaboration with other Federated Innovation companies, but also the power of having a place here at Mind that where projects can take place in a sort of innovation sandbox.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you very much. Indeed, developing innovation is a must, as Patrick said, for everyone focused on sustainable development in present times. E.ON is a leader in the green energy transition. How do you see your participation in this network? The competitiveness of the environment can be a challenge, but also an opportunity. What are your thoughts, Luigi Pisante?
Grazie Giacomo. Again, buongiorno a tutti. Let's say E.ON is one of the largest energy company in the world, with over 60 billion revenues and 70,000 people, employees. We do want to drive the energy transition in Europe, and one may think we don't need anyone to develop our solutions other than ourselves. In the reality, we do strongly believe that the interaction and exchange with other players on the market, like it shall be within the Federated Innovation, is a need for us to better develop our solutions. Why is that? Because our solutions are not standalone. They serve different stakeholders, private, public, and they need to intimately talk with other technologies to achieve the best overall results. Just think of the low temperature networks, where we cannot limit our activity to the heat and cooling, production and distribution to the buildings. We have to take into account what is the last leg, the final customer environment inside the building, and that implies his final comfort. Or think at the complexity of the overall hydrogen supply chain, which includes the production of green hydrogen, its storage and final use. And this is within a quite uncertain market, especially from the regulatory aspects. So good to be part of this federated network. Grazie.
Thank you, Luigi. Thank you very much. Very interesting, your thoughts. Marco Gazzino, the pace of new technology and business model adoption is speeding up. increasing the level of complexity and uncertainties in most industries and putting further pressure on innovation. Companies such as Enel adopted open innovation models to adapt to this new context. How Federated Innovation Network can further contribute to accelerating your innovation path?
Yeah, hi everybody. Thanks for that question, because it's clear that large companies like the ones involved in mind have resources and ideas, but sometimes this is not enough. Startups are often faster at developing new solutions and services, but they often lack the capital and connections to develop and scale innovative technologies. Open innovation models aim at mixing the best of the two worlds. And for this reason, Enel has made open innovation a key element of its strategy. Making use of complementary knowledge and skill existing outside the company is of paramount importance. But it's important also to have structured to do that systematically, including startups, industrial partners, small and medium enterprises, research centers, university investors. Since Enel has been established, more than 2,500 opportunities have been received from our stakeholders and from these proposals. Then we have started the process in which we managed over 130 projects that have led to over 80 collaborations. So open innovation on the field proved that startups, small, medium enterprises, universities can really be a booster, a strong booster when it comes to innovation. And when it comes to Federated Innovation Alliance, I think open innovation is a model that needs to be implemented and tackled in the proper way and fully, because mind is a great asset for all of us and for the connected ecosystem as well, as it can become the place where these collaborations with startups and with other players ground their first practical adoption. Mind is a urban context that is visible and accessible to all. And where new solutions can be tested and validated in this place, it's possible to have a validation which is speeding up the process of innovation and make it possible to grow new solutions. As Enel, we want to share all of this and the open innovation model and the open innovation tools with Mind and with the Alliance. And in this regard, really Mind can become an interesting open innovation funnel as a living lab to test this solution. And in that living lab, it is possible to integrate solutions from multiple partners. So it's going to be really interesting because we can mix our capability to collaborate together internally to the Alliance with the capability to collaborate with the external ecosystem.
Thank you, Marco. Thank you very much. I think that the people that are following us live understood why this event is called Collaborate to Compete. Because in Federated Innovation, we really believe in joining forces as a tool to grow and become more competitive to have a broader impact. Gennaro Celotto, Poste Italiane is well aware of it as a logistic leader. Why did you consider Federated Innovation so unique compared to similar networks?
Ciao. A warm welcome to all the attendees also from Poste Italiane. Before going deep into your question, please give me the chance to say a special thank you to all the people that in this strange period have worked very, very hard to start up Federated Innovation, helping us as company to work together, to collaborate, to shape the innovation agenda. Anyway, back to your question. Poste Italiane has chosen to join Federated Innovation because, as already said during this conversation, it's a unique opportunity to discover, and let me say, to face with an holistic approach. This is very, very important with the future, with the future challenges, of course, on the logistics side related to the city of the future. In a nutshell, we see Federated Innovation as a sort of a platform where industry champions, researchers, public and private institutions, startups, and all stakeholders can work together on a common innovation agenda. So the point is that with this approach, with the Federated Innovation approach, is that we work together. That it's strange. Sometimes we are competitors in some market, but this is the value from my point of view. Working together with a long-term vision is really, really worth. This approach, I hope that will give to all of us as a partner the chance to discover the future challenge and to better understand how to address it with our competencies, with our assets. So it's great. At the first, we collaborate, maybe we will compete in the future. And another strong point of Federated Innovation is the connection with the mine district. From my perspective, it's another unique opportunity to have a field where to test all the solutions that we are going to develop. This is very important because so we will have the opportunity to measure the benefits, to find out the effort that we will need to put in place when we will scale up this solution in the market. So at the end, I think that with the Federated Innovation approach, we all as a single company can benefit, but at the end of the game, I think that all the country will benefit. Thank you.
Thank you, Gennaro. Thank you very much for your words and for your input. Indeed, I do believe that this strange and unusual situation, this pandemic, has gave us a push to move forward to all of us that we are working together to accelerate and to make things change for us, for the ecosystem and the stakeholders that are all around us. Massimo Di Amato, as Mayor Tecnimont, you have placed sustainable development at the core of your action, speaking about it. You are aware of the necessity of long-term plans, connecting dots and involving different partners on new initiatives. Federated Innovation's model is built upon participation and collaboration, as it has been also affirmed by the other speakers. Do you think it's the right approach for a common good?
So thanks, Giacomo. Very happy to take part to this event. I think we have already some very, very interesting point already discussed by also our colleagues. So I do like the idea of connecting dots. You know, if you know about the Maritime Group, this is probably one of our characteristics, let me say. So being an EPC contractor and being an integrator by DNA, so we know how important is connecting dots. So let me give you a couple of words about our group. So, you know, we are an EPC contractor active in the oil and gas, petrochemical and fertilizer business. For us, it relates also on technology. So it's our group is a technology-driven one. So we basically integrate our executive competencies to our technology portfolio. So let me give you what we have done, because you know the energy transition. Probably this is the main reason why we also joined the Federated Innovation. So we wanted to give our response toward the energy transition. So what we have done in November 2018, we launched NextChem, which is a subsidiary controlled by the Maritime Group, So what we have done, we consolidated all our maritime capabilities, technologies, patents, and of course, skilled people, with the aim to develop and support the development of new green technologies. So there is a lot of going on with reference to the activity that we are taking ahead in NextChem, but we do concentrate our effort with reference to three main areas of interest. So one is circular economy, then we will talk better later. The other one is green, so every kind of process that starts with a feedstock which is bio-based or renewable components for the production of bio-based products, chemicals, fuels, etc. And then we are active, of course, in what we define green in the brown, which are the technologies that help to reduce the impact of traditional industries. But let me add one point which is very important, and it relates to open innovation. So we really, as Maritech, we felt the strategic need to adopt also an open innovation approach. So we really believe in collaboration, in partnering, in order to have success in developing and generating new ideas. So we decided to join the Federated Innovation as we believe that those are the driver in the next near future. Of course, when speed is in place, when speed is the name of the game, of course, I think collaboration it's really important in order to create the right conditions. So I can tell you a lot about developing new technologies, and there are many issues to tackle. There are many barriers, but all in all, I think that just for example, we can consider, for example, a lack of entrepreneurship, which is more related to the environment, in my opinion. We can consider also the difficulty in accessing the end markets. We can consider capital, so capex intensity. So there are many elements. But in conclusion, if we consider all these issues, I think a longer-term approach and a collaboration between players and stakeholders, it's key to generate continuity in the development path and improving also environment conditions and mitigating risk associated. So these are, for me, the elements that we need to have success in the development and scaling up new technologies. That's the main reason why we decided to join the Federated Innovation, because we believe that collaboration is key. Thanks.
Thank you, Massimo. Thank you very much. So, the ice has been broken thanks to all your amazing words. It's been very inspiring to listen from you the meaning of being part of Federated Innovation. As pictured during the plenary session, each thematic area has worked hard, sharing knowledge and combining ideas to get to several innovation initiatives. Getting through. Today, cities host 55% of global population to rise 70% by 2050. Marco, the meaning of a smart city is generally accepted to be an urban area that leverages technology to provide services and solve problems. More concretely, and from your company point of view, which are the main drivers and objectives when it comes to innovate and design smart and sustainable cities?
We believe it is essential to support the sustainable development of our cities, of course, and making new technologies a tool to allow municipalities to achieve common efficiency objectives in a simpler and faster way. And this can be done by taking the most out of available resources. That's important. So the most of the time it's possible to do that part with resources which are already available. And in line with the SDG and with the indications of the Drive Urban transition to a sustainable future of the European Commission, I think the three pillars to look at are decarbonization first, circular economy the second one, and finally citizen-centric planning. decarbonization is triggered by, for instance, by many products which are related to electrification. So, for instance, electric buses or electric mobility, but even by energy communities. So you can get there by electrifying public transport on one side and by implementing new models of consuming energy, producing locally and consuming energy by means of energy communities. By itself, mine can be seen as a large energy community. So if you look at that, it's so large that you can look at this as an energy community where everyone contributes to balance the most energy production and energy consumption. So it's possible to think about mind as a very large energy community, and this leads to also the maximum possible penetration of renewables. The other pillar that I've mentioned is circular economy, and this requires first of all a tool able to do a quantitative assessment of the current circular economy level of a municipality. And this made it possible also to define a roadmap. Before improving your sustainability profile, you need to understand what's the starting point, essentially. And the roadmap is a series of very practical steps that make it possible one by one to make the municipality, the city, more sustainable. And this is a sequence of ad hoc projects which are tailored to the needs and requirements of the single city, the single municipality. And finally, a city, to be smart, has also to be connected, but connected not just for the sake of being connected. It's important that it's going to be a citizen-centric planning city. And this means that the municipality has access to an urban planning which is data-driven. And this can be done by city analytics or other tools which make it possible to leverage on data or open data and using those data in order to provide useful insights to the city in order to carry out urban planning, like allocation of assets or optimization of the transportation, public transportation, and so on. That's very, very important. And again, all of these three pillars, let's say, help each other, because if you decarbonize, you electrify. When you electrify, you go to new products, and usually electric buses, electric mobility is more connected than the current one. And again, you enable other pillars to be activated, like the third one that I've mentioned. So it's really a circle which is helping inside in a structural way. And this is really interesting because the combination of these three ones lead to a city which is sustainable and at the same time actually smart.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Marco. Patrick, talking about present cities, both indoor and outdoor air pollution is a major environmental health problem affecting everyone in developed and developing countries alike. Data from the WHO show that 9 out of 10 people breathe air containing high level of pollutants. Within Federated Innovation, you have identified this topic and you are going to work on solution. Please, can you give us some insights?
Yes, Giacomo, thanks for the question. We think that air pollution is a very huge problem, and the more we look at data, the more we are convinced about this, and we understand how big this problem is. Air pollution kills an estimated 7 million people worldwide every year, and 91% of the world population live in places where air quality does not meet the guidelines set by the World Health Organization. This is why the World Bank identifies air pollution as the fourth risk factor in terms of attributable death. And this problem costs to the global economy about $5 trillion a year. And if we look at the problem considering Milan, where we live and where we are, the value of pollution damage for the city of Milan costs approximately 3.5 billion per year. And we know that the recent COVID pandemic has focused the spotlight on air quality, which is increasingly recognized as a serious public health hazard. But the good news is that in recent years, a wave of new technologies emerged, both physical and digital, to tackle the hyperlocal monitoring for air, but also the pollution abatement. And this is creating a new business opportunity that analysts estimate by 2027 about 25 billion. And we are exploring how to play a role in these new markets. What is interesting is that the growing market opportunity is also sustained by a growing number of patents filed by inventors, and the scientific community is very active on this. So we started more than 500K new applications in the last 5 years. So actually, E2A believes that we have to try to address this challenge, and we think that it's completely aligned with the spirit of a life company as we are, but also with the spirit of the Greentech area, because we find a way to tackle on this challenge. This is why we have defined a specific roadmap of experiments. We have to try different technologies, and we're going to install very soon, in a few weeks here at Mind, some technologies in the experiment. We want to create a sort of, we call the clean air zone. Those experiments will be led by E2A, but the opportunity is to open, creating a sort of unique ecosystem of players that can work with us to solve this so relevant challenge. And we hopefully support the transition to clean air.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you very much. Very inspiring, your project here in Mind. This is a typical example of a huge cost that not tackling certain issues can have socially and economically alike. In this regard, the energy transition can play a decisive role. It is among the priorities of the world in the process to tackle greenhouse gas emissions. And next week, here in Milan, we'll host the pre-COP26 as an important step toward a global agreement to tackle climate change. Luigi, as a leader in the sector, what has E.ON identified as possible solution in its innovation agenda?
Well, we did select two initial solutions. One is low temperature networks. The other one is green hydrogen. On low temperature networks, we have developed a technology for the production and distribution of heat and cooling energy vectors, which technology is named Ectogrid, which can be classified as a fifth generation district heating. This is a system that connects different buildings of a city quarter and operates at a much lower temperature than a traditional district heating, reducing losses, optimizing the use of heat pumps, and creating the conditions for the recovery of waste energy. And that makes the system especially efficient. We, as E.ON, want to further invest on such technology, and we want to bring it to the next level. As far as green hydrogen, we are interested in developing a green hydrogen project which includes production, waste heat recovery, storage, and feed to a network of hydrogen refueling station with the final intent of boosting sustainable mobility of what is transportation for collectivities, so heavy duty local transportation. That is a quite complex project, and we think that Federated Innovation is actually an ideal environment to have success. And that is because the Federated Network contains the best experience from its permanent members, and we think the Federated can easily attract external competencies, which are all needed. Mind itself has also an institutional profile, which is capable of involving the institutional stakeholders, which are a key for success. So I'm talking about the government, the region, local authorities. And Mind itself is located in a very densely populated area with a very well-known need of actions to improve sustainability. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Luigi. Marco, talking about energy transition is strictly related to decarbonization and a new flexibility service that can be provided to a wide range of customers, from the municipality to CI companies up to residential customers. Which are the new solutions on which Enel is innovating?
We can say that the paradigm of distributed energy or distributed renewable generation integrated with storage is certainly an essential element of a global decarbonization strategy. That's even more true when it comes to active management of electrified loads. And in this regard, Enel is the world leader for managed capacity in demand response. And we have almost 7 gigawatts of managed capacity. And this load capacity of our customers is aggregated and made available to the grid to provide ancillary service. And this includes also, for instance, load capacity of air conditioning systems. So when we speak about demand response, we speak about something that can include also offices and residential buildings. So this is relevant for an area like mine, for instance. And the overall aim of these solutions is, of course, maximizing the use of green energy and the economic benefits of the customers. When it comes to residential districts, an example is, for instance, the Marcus Garvey Village in New York, where we worked together with about 625 units apartment complex in Brooklyn to develop a self-producing area for the energy generation, and this is independent from an energy standpoint. And we have done so by leveraging on renewable storage, demand response. All of those tools made it possible to extract the most from distributed energy. And that's just an example, but new business models that are gradually being introduced in Italy and Europe now enable business models such as energy communities to become more and more distributed and more diffused. Examples are residential aggregation, for instance. So in those cases, residential loads like storage integrated with PV can become something useful in order to balance the grid. And this opens up to a new generation of prosumers, which can be both industrial and residential prosumers, and that they are essentially placed at the center of the energy transitions.
Thank you, Marco. Gennaro, changing topic, I see digital is transforming the market with new tools enabling endless possibilities. How do you see this change? Is it a threat or an opportunity for your thematic area? And how can the logistics sector benefit from it?
Okay. Is digital a threat or an opportunity? good and tough question, let me say. I would say both. But let me go deeper. Of course, for logistics, but I think for all the fields, digital is an opportunity, is a big opportunity. Digital would be a threat only if companies do not embrace digital innovation, or only if the company's approach to digital innovation with a, let me say, short-term vision, or on the opposite with only a long-term vision. So, as my professor said a long time ago, I think that we need to keep an eye on the cat and an eye on the fish that is into the pot. That means that it's crucial to work on both sides. Companies need to leverage with digital, with actual capabilities. So they need to innovate right now, but at the same time they need to push the boundaries with digital. They need to look beyond. They need to see for the future. And this is what we do with the support of Federated Innovation. Our target, our aim is to shape the logistics of the future for the city of the future, of course. And we see a logistic that is totally fluid, in which physically and digital will be completely blended. So, of course, our agenda is completely digital driven, let me say. Our mission is to develop a financially and environmental sustainable logistic model able, for example, to lower dramatically up to zero, maybe, the CO2 emission. We want to reduce the operative costs. We want to speed up transit time. We want to integrate people mobility with goods mobility. So you can well understand that no one of these topics could be addressed without IoT, machine learning, 5G, and so on. So once again, digital is the key to remain competitive and to stay in the market in the future. This is my point of view.
Thank you, Gennaro. Thank you very much. And I think that this is what we want to achieve also Federated Innovation, to make the digital tool a value added to build, in this case, the city of the future. I would like to listen to the different perspective on a key topic for the city of the future, that is circular economy, as it plays a spatial role in the development of the city of the future. At its core, a circular economy model has the intention of designing out waste and keep products and material in use. Which are the main barriers still present in this path? How are planning to overcome these barriers with the other thematic area leaders? I'm asking it to Massimo for Meyer and Patrick for A2A.
Thanks a lot, Giacomo. As I told you before, as NextChem, we are working a lot in the circular economy. So especially we are leveraging our competencies with reference to the transformation and processing of natural resources. So what we have done, and I will give you just an overview, and then we go to the barriers, and then we see also solutions. But anyhow, we see circular economy as one very big opportunity to build the city of the future, of course. So if we talk about energy transition, we will see reconversion of industrial processes, but we will see also educating our people and our communities and also our industries to work with wastes, for example. So we talk about plastics because, of course, we know very well about the processes and the plastic itself. So there are many issues related to plastic pollution, for example, but there are many technologies now ready to go to the market, and some of them are already in the market that allow us to recover completely these wastes. And I'm not only talking about wastes very easy to manage, like PET, but I relate also to what we call hard to manage. So just to give you an example, within NextChem, we integrated several technologies which are state of art, and we are now able to convert through a chemical process these wastes. So everything is hard to manage. So what I see here is a big opportunity because you can work with low-cost wastes that at the moment are big issues for our society, and you can take back molecules that are the base for the chemical industry, basically. So anything is related to methanol, ethanol, hydrogen, for example. Another very important, we are able now to deliver circular hydrogen. So I think from a CO2 perspective, you are basically solving a big issue, and on the other hand, you have again the molecules you need to do the chemistry. So this is my idea, my opinion is that we should take this opportunity and going to the barrier, because at the end of the day, if our system is not taking an opportunity, the reason is there is an issue. So what I see here, for sure, there can be a cultural aspect, there can be a regulatory issue, bureaucracy. So let's consider also supply chains. So readiness. There are many of these issues, and going to the reason again, we are here in the Federated Innovation. I think that the combination of all stakeholders and actors for sure can help to speed up this change and let things going concretely ahead. So that's my opinion. Thanks.
I completely agree with Massimo. We have some areas that are common interest. And Giacomo, circular economy is one of the two pillars of our 10 years plan. And the reason why we are very committed on this pillar is that we cannot guarantee a sustainable development of city without achieving sort of circular use of resources. The bad news is that time does not play in our favor. Today in Italy, we still commit to landfill a quantity of waste that is more or less equal to 26 times the Duomo of Milano. And if we go on with this rhythm, the capacity of landfill will last in 3 years. And the problem is that Italy is still far from EU performances. We have 21% of urban waste produced that is still committed to landfill. And this value is approximately 30 times the value committed by best performer at European level. So Sweden, Germany, Swiss, where the percentage on average accounts for 0.7%. But the good news is that technology is moving fast, as Massimo was saying before, and there's the opportunity to turn progressively profitable business that used to be inconvenient from a business perspective, because it's sort of labor intensive or hazardous for workers. So just make an example, AI and robotics are becoming more and more able to automatize and digitalize different steps of the value chain for companies like K2A that work on, for example, the collection and the sorting of material. So we are using, for example, machine vision to amplify the way we can identify sort material on the chain. Or for example, the robotic disassembling of electric waste, for example, that used to be just a labor-intensive work. But if we look at 5 to 10 years, we we see a new huge opportunity, the field of battery. We know that the growing market of e-mobility, from one side, will represent a way to decarbonize, but at the same time represent a big challenge in terms of circular economy. So we'll have by 2030 more or less 350 gigawatt hours of batteries that will reach the end of life. So we have to be ready at this time, and we have to take care of those batteries, trying to find a way to repurpose them, finding a second life, and at the very end of the cycle, being able to extract resources and reuse them in new industrial life cycle. So, of course, there are big opportunities, I say it also by Massimo, and we think that, again, those kind of challenges can be achieved and addressed if we work in a value chain approach. So, completely coherent with the spirit of the Federated Innovation.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Massimo. From listening from your words, it's pretty much clear that this is not only a part of your business, but it's also a commitment, and something like that is very important when we have a situation that, like you just mentioned, Patrick, is running out of time. Getting back to the energy sector, Luigi, the solution you have previously mentioned could see Mind as a test bed. As a smart district, Mind could be the opportunity to test and develop a new sustainable and efficient energy heating system. Mentioning the low temperature network, how are you planning to implement this innovation within the district?
Yeah. We want to invest in hectogrid technology within Mind. We want to further develop its digital part in what is the interconnection with the heating cooling distribution system inside the building. So we definitely want to connect to the comfort, to the final user tenant. We want to allow the end users to act as prosumer, sharing the waste heat with other users of the network, and being able to set up a tariff reflecting the quantities of heat exchanged, and by that reducing the energy needs. So this would be a further step to innovation, which would be based on digital and sustainability. So which actions do we plan to start? We want to, and we will apply the hectogrid technology within Mind, and we will integrate the technology with new functionalities through partnerships which we will need to build with multi-utility companies. Moreover, we will start a research of innovative technologies to enhance the technology of hectogrid. Thank you.
Thank you, Luigi. Thank you. Marco, getting back on the circular economy, Enel has embedded the circular economy within its business model, and it's also one of the strategic domain of Greentech thematic area. Can you elaborate more on your vision and the business you're carrying forward with your customers?
Yeah, sure. Circular economy is more and more the only model solution to achieve the smart city targets. And at the same time, it's the solution which makes it possible to increase the life standards, let's say. This includes, usually in the definition of circular economy, environmental emissions, but circular economy is not just that, because it includes also sharing services and sustainable input and product as a services, which are business models that can trigger circular economy also during the useful life of a product or a service. And it is very, very important to point out this aspect, because circular economy is an approach much broader than that. And these three additional business models are strategic for maximizing results and creating connection with other thematic areas. So this is exactly what we are working on now in the Federated Innovation Alliance. And of course, there are barriers to overcome as an important transition step towards a new economic model, but it's really important to look at that. And Enel strongly believe that the only business is a sustainable business, and we have formal and strong commitments to make this transition happen. And when it comes to Enel X, our solutions are designed around C principles. C level of our products is constantly boosted through a circular economy boosting program, able to improve the level of adoption of C solutions. Just to make an example, we use plastics taken from our dismantled meters to recycle it and manufacture our juice box made of recycled plastic. So the EV chargers are made of the plastics taken from dismantled meters. And this applies to at global level, so it's not just for Italy, it's more than this. But however, the most important booster, I think, in this framework is our C advisory service for our customers and also for municipalities and districts like mine. Because the greater impact you can achieve is when you help others implementing the path that you have followed, helping our B2B customers adopting the circular economy implementation at industrial level. And to that extent, Enel X developed a dedicated tool able to guide clients into sustainability and C paths, starting from analysis and awareness up to defining a roadmap able to reduce CO2 emissions and generate energy and cost savings. And when it comes to smart cities and the expertise that we can share with Mind, our C report for cities provides a quantitative scoring about the circular maturity level of the city, both at the level of the municipal territory and at the level of one of more specific sites. And based on that, it is possible to issue to assign a score, let's say from 0 to 100 in terms of sustainable and efficient use of resources in the district or at municipality level. On that basis, an analysis is conducted and then the roadmap in order to suggest concrete intervention is given. The most exciting part of that process, which starts from the analysis and go through the roadmap and action definitions, is that the C report and the related tools can be leveraged also for the Mind, but at Mind that they can be leveraged by design and not ex post, as it usually happens when the city is already built. So it's really an exciting, let's say, test bed of this kind of assessment and actions tools.
Thank you, Marco. Thank you very much. Gennaro, within the innovation initiative, you're planning to develop a concept of new solution for delivery. How will Mind characteristic help you reach these targets?
Look, the main driver of our innovation agenda is, if I don't miss all the words, is sustainability and decarbonization in a new normal urban environment. So this means that we need to scout the evolving market of electronic vehicles and unmanned vehicles. But I don't think this is the point. The point is that we need to define the rules for this new approach to the logistics services and to the mobility, and to understand how the city infrastructure need to be designed and built to cope with the new logistics services and with the new mobility. Let me share with you some examples. Drones and unmanned vehicles, from a tech perspective, are there. they are almost up and running. The problem is to define the rules to add these new vehicles into the urban mobility. And the problem is to define the contact point with the buildings or with the drop-off point. We have a lot of issues to address or to solve. Another example, on the air drone site, we need, of course, landing platform. Which is the best and safer place? Maybe a basket placed off every balcony where to drop shipments, or maybe a landing platform on the rooftop of the new buildings. Where do we place drone park? Where do we place the takeoff platform? Which kind of connectivity do we need for remote driving of a drone fleet? So, with mind, we have the opportunity to test all these possibilities to understand which is the best solution in every place, the best solution for construction, the best solution for logistics, for best solution for Greentech, and so on. So I see Mind as a live and open air laboratory where we can prototype, test, and define the new standard for the logistic of the future.
Thank you very much, Gennaro. Massimo, through the recovery and resilience plan, Italy committed itself to modernizing its capacity to recycle and reuse materials, fostering a circular economy. Italy is already a circular economy leader, in large part due to its technological advances. We have already spoke about it, but which are your feelings in this regard?
So thanks for the question, Giacomo. So let me tell you that the transition to a circular production and consumption model based economy, I think it's maybe one of the most challenging tasks for Europe as of today. So of course, I confirm what you already said. Italy is a leader in Europe, so it's ahead of France and Germany in terms of percentage of its, let me say, circular economy capacity. So this is especially if we look at the, for example, at the plastic waste again. So, but let me tell you that this is mainly because our our industries, our entrepreneurs, our companies, basically also finding the way to fight for competition, they manage before to take advantage about wastes in order to get raws at a lower cost. So in a way, it was, let me tell you, a business need. So now what is really difficult is to maximize this effort. So the reason why the percentage, and I mean the difficulties, we will have a lot of difficulties going forward to increase this percentage, because of course everything it could be easily recycled, it's already recycled. So the issue here is to find the right solution to, for example, recover everything is hard to manage, everything is landfilled. So again, I think if we look at the recovery and resilience plan, and I think also if you look at what the government is doing in these days, I think there is a big opportunity. There is a big opportunity. I mean, again, I think capital is not an issue as soon as the economic aspects are there. So I see again an issue, if you want my opinion, if we go back to the barriers. So if you need 10 years to obtain, for example, a green light to convert a brownfield site, of course this is not going to work, and for sure you're not going to match all the objective that is guiding also our discussion today. So I can give an example. Again, going back to the technology, I was telling you something before, which is what we call waste to X technology, which is, in very simple words, is a chemical conversion. So now this kind of plants, this kind of innovative technology can lead to really a breakthrough, because you can just take back the hydrogen from wastes, which is again today a big issue from the hard to manage. You take back the hydrogen, you take back the CO2, and then you can understand that as soon as you have these two molecules, you can go back to other industries. Let me think about, for example, refineries. Let me think about everything is related to metal production. So there is a very big opportunity here. I think there is also emotion. So people, European people, everyone, I think it's really sensible on the urgency, and we all know, as already said also by other people today, we know that it's a big challenge to reach such goals, so to meet the objective. Thank you.
Thank you, Massimo. Thank you very much for this deep dive. And indeed, what you've been mentioning, the bureaucracy is one of the issues. Definitely, corporate leadership is needed to overcome also certain kind of challenge that our country is facing ahead. Marco, you're planning to develop a specific project based on the smart infrastructure for urban landscape and electric mobility within Milan Innovation District in mind. Could you provide more details?
Yeah, sure. I'm very happy to do so. We are actually right now in the process of implementing a smart and sustainable district at Mind. And this is an integrated project that based on intelligent infrastructure and on a software layer for data analysis and collection allows to offer multiple services to the community. In particular, the solution is going to be composed by different parts. First of all, it's going to be composed by an Enel Smart Pole. This is a multifunctional totem that, in addition to lighting, is able to provide services such as video analysis, SOS and AED systems, e-bike charging, digital communication display, and so on. And this is also equipped with PV and storage. So the interesting part is that this makes it autonomous from an energy standpoint. Then we are going to install an Enel Juice Park, which is a photovoltaic shelter that houses our charging stations and various other services such as video analysis. And finally, we are going to provide the whole Mind area with city analytics. This is our big data solution, which through the analysis of anonymous and aggregated data from mobile apps and other sources allows us to estimate the population present in the various points of interest in the city and evaluate the mobility flows. And for instance, we will be able to track origin destination matrices between Mind and other points of interest, and between Mind and railway stations, airports, main districts of Milan, and so on. And this is very, very interesting because understanding the mobility flows help the Mind area to develop more, let's say, services more related, more devoted to actually support customer needs. All of these solutions are going to be integrated into our NX platform, which will make it possible to have an integrated management of solutions and to unlock data synergies among them. And we hope that the works can start soon in order to then involve all of other actors of the ecosystems in the discovery of these solutions and leveraging on them in order to speed up the transformation of mind in actually a lean lab where it is possible to test solutions. That's really, really interesting.
Thank you, Marco. I'm really looking forward to see it. Massimiano, Tellini, we have been talking about the circular economy as one of the main trade union among the 3 different thematic areas. Surely it represents one of the key topics within Federated Innovation as a whole. Intesa Sanpaolo is a global partner of the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, which asserted that the circular model is based on the 3 principles: design out waste and pollution, keep products and material in use, regenerate natural systems. Could you describe Intesa Sanpaolo's contribution to this model?
Yes, for sure. First of all, Giacomo, thanks for giving us this great opportunity. And again, it's a really great pleasure to be able to share with all of you the commitment that Intesa Sanpaolo is putting in accelerating the systemic transition towards the new paradigm of the circular economy. I guess that, as many of the previous speakers have been already highlighting, there is a clear path of collaboration and intent in making sure that this becomes, I would say, the new way of doing business across value chains. And then I will just highlight some of the specific contributions that Intesa is making on this topic. But let me just add that from my perspective, what would be really interesting to see out of the MIND project, this visionary approach to open innovation, that would be also, I would say, take into consideration what has been said by many of the companies already presenting their views, that even the strengthening of the public-private partnership just with the public sector in the context of the incoming recovery and resilience plans across Europe and specifically in Italy, and talking specifically about the MIND localization, I would say that this is a great occasion for even the private sector to be somehow proactive in engaging with the public sector in order to, I would say, promote a different collaborative approach even with them, because we do understand that for sure there is a sort of a responsibility that business can have in proposing benchmarks, best practices that from the private sector can be then, of course, even taken into consideration and on board from the public sector. This being said, of course, Intesa Sanpaolo, as one of the most important and stable financial institutions across Europe, it's fully engaged in the transition to the circular economy. First of all, because we do believe this is our duty in terms of doing business with our clients. And secondly, because we do really believe that the strengths that Italy specifically does have in this transition can really position Italy and Europe at the core of the race for a new way of looking at the development. And so going back to what has been said, and also to the journey that Intesa Sanpaolo has done on the trajectory for the transition, I really have the pleasure to share that thanks to the visionary approach and courage, I would say, of our top management and CEO, back in 2016, we've been able to secure our role as a first bank globally to become a strategic partner for the financial services of the most authoritative player active globally on the promotion of the transition, which is the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. And since then, we first wanted to learn our own lesson. And so we did make our homeworks, basically. So we did start to diffuse the concept across the organization. And thanks to, I would say again, a proactive collaboration with many players in the private sector, we have been able to forge with many of the other companies that are today with us in this special event to co-promote the National Alliance for the Circular Economy back in 2017. And then, since then, we also wanted to make as concrete as much as possible our approach. And so within the strategic plan of Intesa Sanpaolo 2018-2021, you can see the 6 billion euros credit facility, which is available for supporting financially innovative projects in the domain of the circular economy. If I may, I would also say that, from Intesa Sanpaolo, from the Innovation Center of Intesa Sanpaolo, we have a clear understanding of the complexity that the circular economy specifically does encompass when you look at the transition, even maybe differentiating it a little bit from the general sort of trend in the green, in the sustainability agenda. If you pause for a sec, if you think about the correct definition, that is correct, I mean, the most common definition that, for example, the Ellen MacArthur Foundation does give about the circular economy, you see how there is not just the objective and the main scope of bettering the actual system. So we are not just talking about making it more sustainable. There is actually the intention to change the system. So circularity somehow is an evolution from the innovation perspective of the sustainability agenda on a higher scale of complexity, but also of potential returns. And so this being said, we do see in the circular economy a great chance for, first of all, cross-industry collaboration. As I said, there is a great occasion for strengthening the public-private partnership. There is for sure the potential for de-risking from a financial perspective. We have been working with academies, specifically in this case with Bocconi University, and we are seeing the first results of a research which is trying to highlight the direct correlation that does exist between a business model becoming more circular and a less exposure to probability of default, both at 1 year and 5 year terms. So even from a financial perspective, we can say that this is really a sort of new development model which is being proposed and which can be proposed, and where Italy can really lead the transition. Let me close on what Mind can do for this transition, what Intesa can do for Mind and for this transition. First of all, as I said, there is design. Design, I would say, is the core of circular economy in a nutshell. We are talking about redesigning business model, as been said already by other speakers, and I really buy into the concept that thanks to the creativity of our companies, of our entrepreneurs, and the context within which this discussion is taking place, Italy is really on the verge of becoming the leader in redesigning the economic development across the value chain in a very circular way. On the other side, Intesa Sanpaolo is really committed in making sure that this becomes a sort of, I would say, country-wide approach. There is, I would say, a joining forces needed, but there is also the need for industrialize this transition. It's time to scale it up. It's time, as has been said, not just to collaborate, to compete, but even to co-create the future. And in co-creation of the circular future, there is a clear component which is made of innovation, of education, and experimentation is going to be key. And we believe that, of course, this a tremendous opportunity that Mind does represent will provide all of us participating in this and newcomers that may be will be added to the network and we will be engaging with. There will be a sort of the future in the making. And of course, education and even advocacy with the public institution. I was saying about the need for strengthening the relationship with the public sector. I would say would see Intesa Sanpaolo really committed in addition to what we already have. And of course, thanks also to the golden relationship, the amazing relationship that we do have with Cariplo Factory, the Circular Economy Lab that we do have, it's somehow one of the best candidates to make sure this is becoming a sort of the new way of doing business in Italy. So this is our commitment, and of course, we are open to co-create and co-collaborate with all of you in terms of making sure this is a collective action for change, and there will be, I would say, success for all of us.
Thank you, Massimiano. Thank you very much. I really believe that your contribution and expertise will be very welcome within Federated Innovation. So I'm sure that we have provided a picture of what you as members are doing within Federated Innovation. To imagine a city of the future, it's crystal clear that business as usual is not a model anymore. 17 Sustainable Development Goals listed in the Agenda 2030 of the United Nations has set the targets humanity must reach. Cities can play a decisive role, considering they already consume 80% of total energy produced in the world and absorb up to 70% of the food supply. Furthermore, cities produce about 70% of global waste, and we heard also during this conversation concrete examples related to our city. Collaboration is key, as it has always been in human history, concerning progress and growth. And this is the model of federated innovation is promoting, between companies, between thematic areas, and with a broader public and private ecosystem in mind and beyond. I have a last question for our speakers. I will start with you, Massimo. How do you see the innovation initiatives that you're working on in your agenda as a value-added service for the community and the territory?
Thank you very much, Giacomo, for the question. Let's start from innovation. So if you look at the past, innovation has been driven basically by economic reasons, you know. However, today is a completely different scenario where in reality we need innovation initiatives. We need to deploy new technologies, but mainly because we have challenges to face. So it's if you want, it's related to allow better quality of life. It's a matter of supporting aging societies, for example, climate change. So there are many big challenges ahead, and I think these change completely the approach. So again, if you look at the past, it was merely for profit, let me say. If you look at the future, this will be a necessity. So going back to your question, so I seriously see value added in such initiatives. And with particular reference to federated innovation, I think, you know, we discussed about barriers. We discussed probably not in detail about why there are issues in developing new technologies, why the rhythm where we see new ventures, new startups coming, it's still not enough. So all in all, what I see here is the opportunity to create the tools, to create cohesion, to combine expertise, so to join forces between supply chain and across all the supply chain. So in my opinion, and I'm a firm believer, innovation and startups need to talk closely to industry, to industrial players, because I think this fusion will allow also and will enable capital. So I see industrial players joining forces with new venture and new startups as a way to mitigate risk. And I'm a firm believer that this will for sure also help the investor that need to allocate capital at risk. So I see in mind and in federated innovation a very big opportunity with reference to this consideration. So that's my point, and I really hope that we will have success to build this kind of network and to create the right rules to work closely and together, because this is very important if we look at the future that we have ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Massimo. I also know that you must leave, so I wanted to thank you for your astonishing contribution and for all the input that you provided to the discussion. Patrick, I will follow Massimo's lead, and I want to ask you, what is the role that innovative startups can play to realize the initiatives of the thematic areas innovation agenda?
Yeah, Giacomo, like probably most of the companies attending in the last years, we have met hundreds of startups that are coming from around the globe, and they are trying to propose solutions to solve challenges on the green tech area. And I personally think that they represent a valuable engine for our ability to innovate. They have solutions that can dramatically accelerate the way we introduce novelties within our company. But we know that working with startups, require for companies, large companies, to readapt themselves to be aligned to a new register, to a new way of collaborating. So this is why during last year we have tried to change different aspects our approach to the startup ecosystem, and we are trying to take care of them as we typically used to do with customer, less with suppliers. So this is why at the beginning of the 2020 we have launched what we call the startup kit, a kit of action that actually try to extract value from this collaboration corporate startup. But just to give you some concrete examples, so we design a very light onboarding phase, so we do not more exchange documents. We do not require the P&L from startups. We pay upfront the 50% of the project costs. We pay at 30 days instead of 90 days as we used to typically do with typical suppliers. We have an entire digital experience to work with startups. So we're trying to work as a startup, not working with startups. So no more paper exchange. And what we did is also to standardize contracts. So we know that is something that we are trying to do at Federated. So standardization, IP, arrangement, for example. So we standardize contracts in a few pages. So now we're able to sign them and contractualize a startup in 7 days or less. So why I'm saying this? Because I think that here at Federated, we have the chance to put together all the practice that we have defined over time. And probably we can try to build together a way to distinguish the Federated Innovation as an ecosystem for the way we approach a startup. And probably this would be a unique example, at least in Italy.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you very much. Indeed, sustainable development means social, economic, and environmental care. And what you and Massimo just said, embrace the different dimension of the meaning. Cross-sector innovation or public-private innovation are two other fantastic assets that Federated Innovation offers to its member. Where in your innovation agenda there are opportunities to leverage one or both of them? Do you see additional value from the asset which will be provided by the Federated Innovation? I would like to hear from Gennaro for Poste Italiane and Marco for NX.
Yes, as you said, it's a fantastic asset. Cross-sector innovation plays a key role in our agenda. because if we want to study and develop as said in my previous speech, a super liquid integrated logistics system for the city of the future, we need to collaborate with all the other thematic areas and with all stakeholders, let me say. We need to understand their needs to better project the new logistics, but at the same time, we need to share our requirements and we need to ask for solutions. We have already mapped a lot of points of common interest with other thematic areas. But I think that the more we work, the more we need the support of all the competencies that are in the Federated Innovation. At the moment, we see a lot of synergies with retail tech, urban, digital, green tech, circular economy, security and defense. And for example, I said before that we want to prototype how to plug into the city of the future the unmanned vehicles. But if we want to do this, we need to work hard with, for example, construction tech to understand which kind of road infrastructure best fits with this technology. And we need to define where to place the drop-off or drop-on points. At the same time, we need to cooperate with urban digital to define 5G communication methods between infrastructure and fleet. We need to work with energy to define the charging infrastructure. We need to work with security and defense to define communication protocol. So there is a lot of work to do with all the competencies that are in Federated Innovation.
Yeah, I think the topic of cross-sector collaboration is quite related to the open innovation tools that we have introduced at the beginning of the discussion. So the first reference must be given to them. However, I think mine is looking at solutions which are by their own very cross-sector. So if we look at the thematic areas of the Federated Innovation, I think the most of them are by their own very cross-sector. Just to name a technology area, electric mobility by itself is a perfect ground for cross-sector innovation. For instance, second life batteries applications of a car battery are relevant focus of life cycle of electric vehicles. This goes without saying. But these applications require a complete different set of sectors to be involved. Compared than the traditional automotive sector. So that's an example, but we could do really many of them. And I think another area to mention is collaboration with universities. Enel collaborates as an innovation partner with large Italian and international university and can count on a portfolio of over 60 framework agreements on different thematic areas. Those collaborations are related to very different areas. We can count IoT products, the use of new materials, a sensor for plants, circular economy in the sense of reuse of materials with a circular approach, and so on. Again, all of these can be leveraged for triggering a cross-sector innovation. At the end, what I really want to point out is that Federated Innovation could benefit from all of this ecosystem and vice versa, become a source of new collaborations with new large companies, thus expanding our ecosystem. I think that's the best part of the Federated Innovation.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Marco. Luigi, talking about public-private partnership, why this model is so relevant in this historical moment?
I like very much PPPs. Let's say our energy solutions for cities normally implies a great level of cooperation with public entities. Now, we are in the middle of a digital and ecological revolution with very challenging objectives for reducing CO2 emissions. And that requires, from our point of view, a reduction in energy consumptions, so an increase of efficiency and a need of reducing waste, along with the need of electrification of the local heat and cooling and energy production systems. And the same has to be coupled with renewable sources, both on-site and off-site. So there is about a real need of investments in infrastructures. Potential of energy efficiency projects in the public sector is definitely unexpressed. Only a little part of the investments in energy efficiency projects which are included in the City Hall programming tools have been completed. And that is mainly due to lack of funding. We know we have an incredible debt, public debt, and a lack of technical expertise within the municipal administration. So the market is then by definition very attractive to private operators offering innovative solutions on an asset-based model, which includes financing. It is worth to say the PPP is a winning formula, and this is the reason I very much like the instrument. And this is because by law, roles and responsibilities of the private and public part are defined and clear. And this allows the private party to invest its financial resources in the long term. So I definitely think that to develop our projects, it is not only a need to get and involve the public party, but we do have this instrument, which is the public-private partnership, that is actually a very good instrument to cope with. Grazie.
Thank you, Luigi. Thank you very much. We have definitely got through this innovation path we call here in Federated Innovation thematic areas innovation agendas. This conversation has raised some important points. City of the future will be smart and sustainable. By working together, different stakeholders can make a difference. Corporate leadership is a decisive tool to implement sustainable development. I would like to thank all our distinguished speakers for providing a relevant contribution and giving us a broader overview of the present and the future. Mind as a district through Federated Innovation can really be the place to build the city of the future. Nevertheless, there are no cities without citizens, and therefore I open the floor to the Q&A session. I got some here, so let me begin with Gennaro. I read, I have learned about the collaboration with other thematic areas. Are you already working with other players within Federated Innovation and Mind outside the ones attending this workshop?
Good question. Look, to achieve the targets that I have described before, we need to match and to mix digital competencies and logistic competencies. Generally, the logistic men have no deep digital competencies, and the opposite is for logistic expert. So I think that the Federated Innovation is the perfect playground to reach this goal. We will work side by side with big companies on specific topic of our agenda, but at the same time, we will add in the creation process all the specific competencies that we are able to collect coming from digital disruptive startup or maybe from university. Everything that is able to spin our innovation is welcome. At the moment, we, frankly speaking, have already identified some startup, but I will take the opportunity of this event today to launch a call for innovation. Everyone in Mind or Federated Innovation that is interested in working and in shaping the future of logistics is welcome. Please contact me and we will find a way to collaborate.
Gennaro, this is the spirit, right? And this is also what will not only make this network effective, but those initiative flagships for other activities, hopefully all over the region, the country, and Europe itself. Speaking about Europe, I got here a question that I would like to ask to Massimiano. The European Union has set the way forward with the Next Generation EU, Do you think the federated innovation model could become a best practice at the EU level?
Giacomo, this is a very intriguing question. I would say definitely yes. It's down to us. And as I was saying before, I think it's really down to us to show how the private sector and the business side can really lead by example in trying to establish good practices and I would say new way of I would say solving issues by even creating value. As been said, we talk about logistics, we have been talking about cities, we have been talking about infrastructure, energy. I mean, there is a clear understanding on how the transition, I would just not call it just an ecological transition. I would really see this most importantly as an economic transition. As we are saying, we are not just trying to make the economy greener, we are really trying to make a shift, a cultural mind shift. So in this regard, for sure, I think European institutions and Europeans at large can really look with confidence and interest, I would say, to mind, because Italians can do great things in this, and we would have also, I would say, an international aspect, an international approach to innovation, thanks to the leadership that the companies have been already sharing their views, can really show by practice, not by example. But one element of the conversation that I believe mind could really somehow help to nurture in going forward is that if we pause for a sec and we look at what's happening from our side, we are really seeing, I would say, the supply side. We are talking about companies that are willing and eager to collaborate in order to promote new solutions, new products, but new services. And this is one part of the market. There is, I guess, the need also to try to stimulate the demand for circularity, which does encompass, first of all, as I said, a cultural mind shift, also from the, I would say, way of living of people. And when we do touch topics like cities, energy, transportation, mobility, logistics, we are talking about daily lives of citizens. So that's where I do see our role for sure in terms of being a platform for aggregation and maybe also intermediation of relationships and experiences and all the likes in the terms of the open innovation. But more importantly, altogether, we can really engage, I would say, the broader community in making sure that circularity specifically is seen as, I would say, the next way of looking at how products and services can really solve bigger problems, but at the very same time creating value. Creating value not just, again, from the environmental perspective, but as I was anticipating, from the economic one and from a societal one as well. And trying to make sure that this great experiment could really be seen as one of the, I would say, inflection point on the conversation about the climate change and all the challenges linked to that. I would say that this has the potential to be seen as a collective effort to reinvent solutions. And of course, the European institutions may see this as an inspiration to take the Italian way of doing innovation as a contribution, also at the time where taxonomies are being developed, where concepts are going to be spread across European countries, and where the, I would say, future of the next 10 years for the European economy is really being designed along digitalization and circularity routes. So in closing, I would say that for sure, I personally believe Mind could really make a great contribution to this public conversation about innovation which is concrete, but which is impactful, which is able to create positive impact, and at the very same time create economic, societal, environmental value from, I would say, a new perspective where even the demand, where the community, the broader community can really be on board and can contribute with ideas, with calls, with a sort of exchange of experiments and experiences where we can all learn from each other and together make the next step in the right direction, all at the very same time.
Thank you, Massimiano. I would love to stay here talking about those topics for all night long, because those are very interesting reflections. And as well as the European Union is taking this direction, the Federated Innovation is going to this direction. I think that for building a new world, the contribution of everyone is extremely relevant, and that's how we want to work here. I would like to ask a final question to Luigi. Getting back to the main topic of this conversation, if the goal of the city of the future is to improve the quality of life of their citizens, are you already planning to develop joint initiatives with other players from other sectors, as your sector is very interconnected with everything, actually?
Yeah. E.ON mission is to improve people's life. And as said, we are driving the energy transition, focusing on heat and cooling city solutions. We want to reduce energy consumption. We want to do as much as energy reuse possible. And we are fully dedicated to low carbon energy sources. So actually zero carbon. Such mission naturally shall imply the development of new services, and this will be done jointly with other leading partners, which not necessarily are in our field, in the energy sector. So I think that we will leverage on partnerships with other players that are which core business is on energy related businesses such as Greentech, circular economy, and mobility. Grazie.
Thank you, Luigi. I think that we really got to an end of this amazing conversation. Thank you very much to all of you as attended. Climate change is a concrete threat to humanity, and it has been confirmed by the latest Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change report later this August. Now, as we speak, in New York, the world leaders are gathered together for the 76th General Assembly of the United Nations, and climate change is at the top of the agenda. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has called for collaboration and urged to be fast. The world is on the verge of the abyss, he said, warning that unless wealthy nations commit to tackling emissions now, the world is on a catastrophic pathway to 2.7 degrees of heating by the end of the century, way beyond 1.5 degrees Celsius threshold agreed by the international community as part of the 2015 Paris Agreement. The upcoming COP26 is going to be crucial in this path, but government should work side by side with the civil society and the private sector to achieve a change, promote the development of solutions, and drive humanity to a new phase. To build an healthy and resilient planet, corporate leadership is crucial. The challenges are huge, but we can fix them. And this is also an opportunity. Sustainable development is achievable if we work together, and the benefits will be widespread. Mind can really become the test bed of the city of the future, and Federated Innovation has put together a model capable of supporting the participating companies and rapidly accelerate progress on pressing and emerging issues. An ecosystem working together beyond open innovation. We stumble across very exciting projects today from our industry leaders, because collaborate to compete is not only a point of our manifesto, but it's a concrete reality. So let me thank our amazing speakers, Patrick Oungre, A2A, Marco Gazzino, Enel, Luigi Pisante, E.ON, Massimiano Tellini, Intesa Sanpaolo, Massimo Di Amato, Nimont, and Gennaro Celotto, Poste Italiane. Federated Innovation has kicked off, and the ecosystem is open. It's a tremendous opportunity. Come join us to make the difference.